Professor Sato, this is the Global Digest think tank group. We know you are expert on foreign policy and Indo-Pacific strategy. Where are you right now, Professor
Yeah, in
Sato?
Japan, a city called Beppu at the Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University.
So how did you see current Prime Minister, Prime Minister Shiba, right? So what is his position and what will it look like?
Well, yeah, Prime Minister Ishiba, he just succeeded Kishida, and internal kind of power base of Ishiba within the ruling Liberal Democratic Party is not very solid, and this is not the time for Ishiba to, make a major recourse to, either domestic policy or foreign policy, and as expected, despite the very strong reactions to Ishiba's proposal for the Asian NATO, which he announced in his writing to one of the think tanks in Washington, D.C. Ishiba's policy is not that much different from his successors, especially from Kishida and even Abe. So the support for the promotion of democracy in the Indo-Pacific, free and open Indo-Pacific, including maritime security cooperation and all that, they will stay. But the practical issue is this dilemma between promoting maritime security cooperation and promoting democracy, because not all littoral states are democratic at the moment, and some of them seem even going backward in that sense.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that Japan cannot cooperate with those states, because the maritime security is very important for Japan, its allies, and also regional partners in light of the growing assertiveness of China in the region, especially in the maritime domain, as you see in the South China Sea against the Philippines in particular, but also Vietnam as well. And also in the East China Sea, in the territorial water around the Senkaku Islands, which Japan for now controls, administratively, but China has been mounting growing challenges against the Japanese administrative control of the island and the surrounding water.
Right. So it means Ishiba will not make, or you want to suggest it's not good time, he should make big policy or something like that. And in fact, he announced Japan will have general election in the last week of October, right? So he should see the public voting, whether he has he get preferable by public, or he will not get preference from the public. So you want to suggest something like that?
Right. I mean, Ishiba won the the presidential election for the party, but
Right.
he's now going to resolve the parliament, lower house of the parliament, and go into a lower house election. And his party needs to win the majority, whether by itself, which is very unlikely. And in that case, majority with current coalition partner, which is the Komeito or the Clean Government Party. And if these two parties cannot obtain the majority of the parliamentary seat, then for Ishiba to actually continue to serve as the prime minister, he's going to have to solicit another coalition partner. And that will, really change the coalition dynamic within the party. And if that happens, what kind of foreign policy Ishiba can carry out becomes quite unpredictable.
Right.
So until this election's over, it's very difficult to anticipate what kind of foreign policy will actually come out of the Ishiba administration, or or whether Ishiba can actually continue
Right.
beyond the election.
Right. So Ishiba should wait this coming general election after he see Japanese public opinion at the election. Only then he should make major policy, right? Foreign or domestic policy. I don't understand well about Japanese election system. So right now his party LDP has majority in the parliament, right? So the parliament elected him as prime minister, as he is the head of his own party. So it's how long it is last after this coming election. If they are not majority, they will step down. He will step down, or the majority party will the right to elect again.
If Ishiba cannot get the majority of the parliamentary seats for the LDP and its coalition partners, then there is a good chance that the present opposition parties might get together and try to nominate somebody else. But that prospect is not very strong because opposition is very divided. But even still, the additional coalition party, which may cooperate with the LDP, may or may not support Ishiba as a leader of the coalition. So in that case, Ishiba as a prime minister will have a very, very short life.
Right. Just
so
about 1 month, he will have to be.
Yeah.
He will get prime minister position. But you mean if LDP not become majority in parliament, that means LDP cannot elect prime minister. They have to the Ishiba has to step down, right, after election if LDP are not majority. But you know it will not happen because Japanese population are going to vote majority for LDP. It is sure, I guess, in Japan politics, right? And I don't know, is there any way LDP has possible to lose majority vote in Japan?
I think there's a serious fear among the LDP that the party may actually lose majority because Ishiba took a gamble this time and by not endorsing the candidates from the Abe faction who are implicated for falsifying the campaign fund reporting. And, you know, his attempt is basically try to, keep distance from these Abe faction politicians and try to go along with the popular sentiment against those, the politicians with the campaign fund misuse. But by doing so, the LDP candidates from those districts are the weaker candidates now with not very strong, organized support in each district. So they may actually lose the parliamentary seats to the opposition party, especially the Constitutional Democratic Party candidates. So if that happens at the large scale, the LDP may actually lose the majority.
I see. So Abe faction is also now part of LDP, right? So it means within LDP, Abe faction distant with the Ishiba group, right? So it means LDP are dividing Abe factions and not Abe faction like Ishiba group. It's like
I mean, on the LDP president election, most of the Abe faction supported another candidate, a female candidate, Takaichi, who has been a very strong supporter of Prime Minister Abe, and she was believed by many that the most legitimate successor to Prime Minister Abe's policy. But she lost because Kishida didn't support the Takaichi. And also the faction of Aso, who is now a kind of supreme advisor to Ishiba, which is a kind of nominal title that Ishiba gave to Aso. But Ishiba and Aso have a very bad relationship now, if not before. I mean, they've never had a good relationship. So the Aso faction doesn't really strongly support Ishiba, and Abe faction is kind of split now because of some people supporting Ishiba and others they supported Takaichi, and there's a rumor that Takaichi may actually defect from the LDP to form separate party and things like that. So a lot of things can happen toward the general election and after.
I see. So there are a lot of prediction, right? There can be changes. It means if there is a break in LDP, it will be the first time in Japanese politics, right? LDP become big loss in Japanese politics because it usually all member of LDP stick together, opposition can never break them. But this time, if LDP party within different factions, if they become strongly division within LDP with different fictions like Abe fictions or Ishiba or Kishida fictions. So it may be a big blow to LDP party in Japanese politics, right? And it
Yeah.
will become opportunity for opposition party as well. But do you see it's likely to be break in LDP? I guess they will be stick together because politics is the power is big issue, you know. Who will want to give up that Japanese, power? They may misunderstand within fictions, but it will be very hard to give up power, LDP power to opposition.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, if the LDP loses the unity at this time, it's going to lose the government,
Right,
and everybody knows that. So at some point, there will be a incentive to stay together, but that doesn't mean that particular faction is not gonna try to gain leverage by threatening Ishiba with the possibility of defection. That will continue to happen from all different directions. And
right,
yeah, so unless, until, this dust settles, Ishiba cannot really think about policy. He's too busy thinking about politics right now.
right. So it is, it's still very early for Ishiba to make big policy. And uh, as you said, Japanese, all these politicians are unpredictable at this moment. Anything can happen, right, in general election. So we just have to wait and see. After general election, we can see what are changes and what can be Japanese uh, policy. Clearly, we can see after general election, right?
Yeah. But he's already scheduling the trips to meet foreign leaders and stuff like that. So
Right.
it
He went to ASEAN meeting, Ishiba went to ASEAN meeting.
yeah, and in a sense, the meeting Southeast Asian leaders has become more necessary than before because of Ishiba's, this announcement of the Asian NATO proposal, which is, inviting, unnecessary kind of reading into what he actually wants to do. And I think he needs to be explaining what he actually meant and what is the extent he actually believes it's achievable. And the criticism in Southeast Asia is very harsh, and also from India. And I think it needs to be kind of calmed down if Ishiba wants to play any kind of influential role in Asian diplomacy.
Right. But in this, his visit to ASEAN meeting, I think that will be good for him. It's, all these ASEAN leader will be welcome him as uh, one of Japanese big power, and they were willing to, you know, deal anything with Ishiba. That might be a good image for Ishiba, I guess, visiting ASEAN. meeting, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely necessary, especially because the US is not doing what it should be doing. The Biden's not going, and all that, and Japan needs to be present. But I
Right,
think Ishiba needs to be taken seriously by ASEAN leaders, and for that he needs to explain what he's thinking in much better way.
right. So I think Ishiba visit to ASEAN is a good signal for him, and ASEAN position is they will welcome any Japanese leader, you know. They welcome Ishiba as one of Japanese leader, and the international society view Japan should also play a bigger role in Asia in geopolitics, especially promoting democracy, you know. But I'm not sure whether Ishiba is interested in promoting democracy or not, or he just uh, want same like Kishida, only maritime security and Indo-Pacific strategy, because the democracy promotion is a part of soft power, you know. Without Asia is very critical role about soft power, you know. Democratization is critical. If they can consolidate soft power, democratization in Asia, I think the hard power will be much easier. You know, they can easily organize and success Indo-Pacific strategy. Isn't that, Professor something?
Yeah, I mean, Japan's not giving up on democracy promotion in continental Southeast Asia, naming the, countries like Cambodia, Thailand, and Myanmar. And, the Japanese assistance in those domains, they're continuing despite, Western countries, US and European countries trying to, put pressure through, economic sanctions and all that. And, Japan's assistance, for example, for, the legal training for the, the law students, the government, the judges, and that kind of assistance has been, very solid, and there's no up and down in that. Japan's providing the most steady assistance, despite those are not quite as visible because basically not a large scale assistance, bringing in the law students for graduate studies and that sort of things. But I think Japan believes in this the fruits of the long-term commitment to promote democracy in the continental Southeast Asia is very important, and it should not be subjected to this the geopolitical tit for tat between China and the United States. Japan has its own approach toward the continental Southeast Asia, and that's very stable.
Right. It's true. I agree with you. You know, Japan should, I mean, make stronger policy for promoting democracy with or without Ishiba, you know, any leaders in Japan. The policy should be bold and stronger. That will be very good for regional soft power. because many, as you said, even Western country are sanctioned. I mean, actually, sanction doesn't need to be, stop promoting democracy. They can sanction in military issue, other issue, but supporting democracy can still keep remain and increase democracy supporting will be actually better, but I'm not sure why they are lack of supporting democracy by Western country so far. And they simply sometimes say Japan should play a bigger role. Simply they want to say like that, because maybe let Japan lead the regions in democracy, something like that.
Yeah, but I think the challenge for democratic transition is largely internal to each country and their kind of socio-political, socio-economic development. And when you kind of mix that with geopolitics of the external powers, things get even more complicated. And it's best to kind of try to separate those two things as much as possible to shield the issue of socio-economic development, socio-political development from external power competitions. And that requires a lot of patience on the part of Japan. And
Right.
so
I mean,
trying to train the election monitoring staff,
right,
and building a kind of a strength of the civil society in each country is
right,
very important part of democratic transition. And simply using a stick against the military is just one-sided kind of approach to building a democracy. And you really need also a kind of bottom-up assistance as well.
right,
And this can only, I mean, Japan cannot arm the civilian dissenting against the military, but Japan can arm them with knowledge and expertise
definitely,
and kind of civil administration type of skills.
definitely. It's true. There are many ways, can support the civil society and civilians and many NGO, many non-profit organization or private sector, humanitarian issue, that can be counted as part of democratization, So many things you can do by non-weapon support, And it's good point, legal training Japanese initiated, And we know a lot of legal system broke down and corruption and, a lot of arbitrary abuse arrested, something in many countries, including in democracy country, they still not good rule of law. They are not good in many. Can you able to bring Asian country like Western standard, legal standard, or what will be difficulty?
I think the sanctions, economic sanctions to cut off those Asian countries will simply push them into China's embrace. And China is more than happy to take advantage of the situation to colonize those countries. And the Asian countries' leaders, whether civilian leaders or military leaders, they know that, and none of them want to be pushed into China's corner, and they want to keep some distance, from all external powers in order to maintain more autonomy. And
Right.
so that's a hope for Japan in continuing to engage the governments of not so democratic Asian countries, and hopefully Japan's presence will kind of maintain kind of win-win kind of relationship between Japan and those countries. And by win-win, what I mean is that through economic engagement, the economy will continue to move on the positive progression, the path of economic development, from which both leaders who may be getting some, the corrupt profits, and also the general public broadly can benefit, and the middle class will slowly but steadily start growing to form a more stable support basis for democratic transition, and at some point the corrupt leaders will find themselves surrounded by a much empowered middle class, and their only hope is to gradually transfer power to more democratic process. And so in that way, the military can have a kind of a more honorable withdrawal from politics, and go back to the barracks for external defense, and transform itself. So, but that's
Right.
going to be a long-term project, in my view. It's not going to happen overnight.
Right. So about legal system in regional level, do you think we can have a European court similar to Asian court in Asia, or East Asia at least? We can have East Asian court or something like that, because you said Japan is training a lot of legal system. So if we can set up court, regional court, it can solve a lot of legal problem. How do you think we can set up regional court?
I'm quite pessimistic about such prospect. I think Asian countries are much more protective of their national sovereignty, and European Union established the European Court, European Constitution, and all that. But I think that's a big step for Asian countries, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, Japan can infuse legal norms into, some of the Asian countries, and the court will be empowered to really, not only protect the constitution, but if necessary, those legal expertise within the legislature can also, improve the constitution through amendments.
Right. So thank you, Professor Sato.